Hello, welcome to Drinks with Ron. I'm Ron, and I haven't checked in on you I assume mainly fellas, in a while. Uh, look like hell? Yeah, that was rhetorical. I know I do. But the bonus is, this is one of those rare times when you look exactly like you feel. But let me digress. My drink today, coffee from the French press. A little bit of Folgers dark roast, because I'm not exactly a coffee snob. I ain't above drinking a Folgers. I don't even think it's a Folgers. I think it's a lower brand. Anyway, yeah, and with this hair going on, it's nice. I actually have enough for it to be out of place. Some people, let me just say, for me, this is a win. Wow, look at all that hair. But still, random hat. Happened to be a hat sitting over there, so we're gonna go for it. Man, I'm 43. Um, that it's kind of a stupid number. Nobody celebrates. Hey, it's 43. But for me, it's a little different. Anybody who's known me for over 25 years will know that I have been fixated with the number 43 for over 25 years. It was one of those things where it was like the universe just whispered 43 in my ear. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it meant something for me, and it was mine, and it was important, and I should remember it. So I've always looked for 43 everywhere. If there's something going on and I see a 43, I'm like, we're going that way. That's a sign. We need to, anytime I was on a team in high school, I tried to get jersey number 43. Shit. We even took stabs at writing, we'll call it content back in the day. We were going to write a movie, and we called it Movie 43. So 20 years later, when a movie came out called Movie 43, even though I had nothing to do with it, it felt like a dream of mine had been realized. Movie 43 finally existed. And not only that, but it was perfect. It was kind of a shitty movie. Just this weird hodgepodge of unrelated segments that were all tied together through the main story. Exactly like what we would have done. Like I said, I called it content because we used to say a movie, but it was like literally we would have an idea for like one joke or 1 2 minute scene, and then we would try to build an entire movie around a lackluster 2 minute scene. Never came together. I could usually get the beginning, the setup, the title sequence, the music. I could hear it in my head. I could see the pictures. I could set up the movie, and then it just never went anywhere from there. So when movie 43 happened and it was chock full of celebrities and it was a total, well, for lack of a better term, goofy piece of shit, I felt so vindicated. I was like, if I couldn't do this myself, I'm glad somebody did the lackluster job that I would have done. Although I do recommend seeing it. There's the Emma Stone scene alone. It's great. Like, she's our she's apparently must be at the grocery store, and the checkout clerk must be her ex. So they get into it at the counter, and it's like, "How's your HPV?" And he says, "It's your HPV. I'm just carrying it." It's just shit like that. It's the Hugh Jackman. I won't even tip the hand on the Hugh Jackman one. That's worth it alone. So, like I said, if you like shitty movies with absolutely no plot and no point that are just far-fetched and stupid, I highly recommend Movie 43. But again, let me digress for the second time in this episode. You see, because I think, after over 25 years, I have finally figured out what 43 was supposed to mean for me. It wasn't a great sign from the universe of all the things I should follow. It was a warning. It was, hey, bro, at 43, everything's going to fall apart. Your whole body's just going right to shit. Anything you want to accomplish, try doing it before 43. And that was more of like, I tell you what, if you watch the show, I got stabbed in the eye with a stick off of a bush a month or so ago. Fucked my vision all up. But before that, I had been in the doctor because my eyes were all like gooping up and running. Well, it turns out that after over 15 years, I might have developed allergies to Mr. Pants over here. And, there ain't nothing I can do. He ain't going nowhere. He's earned his spot. I'll just deal with allergies. So, my eyes goop up, then I get stabbed in it. My fucking teeth going to hell. I went to the dentist the other day and, I got some shit cracking around one of my fillings, so they got to do that whole ordeal. Well, I got another filling on this side that when they did it, they're having problems with the filling gun. So he tried and tried and tried, and then eventually he just left it like 3/4 full of filling and was like, well, that should be fine because you're going to come in and get it finished off. Well, I never got around to getting it finished off, and yesterday, as I'm going to town on some Chipotle chips, the whole fucking tooth cracked. Well, what happened is I got a chip up in my gum, between the tooth and the gum. That's one of the most painful, like little tiny piece of tortilla. I'm digging at it like a goddamn raccoon. And so I floss something through there to get it out, and the whole side of the tooth starts going like this. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I was just at the dentist like 3 days ago. So I crammed a little bit of temporary filling up in there because it's something I keep around the house. The problem is, since the tooth is going this way, the filling doesn't really do anything. Because if any pressure comes on it from the side, my tooth just wobbles. That fucker, I'm hoping to make it to Monday. Call the dentist, see if I can't get in before it falls out and I have an exposed root and nerve and highly painful. So, that's where we are. I'm trying to keep myself busy with plenty of the podcast, and we've had some shenanigans. You may know I have the Half-Assed Podcast Network, wherever podcasts are available. That, of course, features the main feed, the Half-Assed Podcast. Dynasty Road Trip, a Dynasty fantasy football show that my buddy Jonah and I do together. And until recently, TGIF. This is weird. It's this weird conglomerate. Let me try to explain this whole thing to you. A little over a year ago, I talked to a guy on Twitter I was in a fantasy football league with. And I've got a podcast feed. He's like, hey, I want to put together a podcast. So I said, lay it on me. His idea is it's him, me, and another guy talking fantasy football through a stoner's lens. So it was basically going to be a stoner fantasy football show. I'm a Dynasty guy. As I said, I already have a Dynasty show. So I told him, yeah, I will produce this. I'll basically hang back. So you two will host. You two will do all the weekly fantasy talk. And I'll basically pretend to be a stoned producer in the background. Like, huh? What? Oh, yeah, go to commercial. So that was the whole bit. And we're going to call it TGIF. Thank God it's fantasy. So you see, we've got the whole crew. We've got the three guys. We have the imaging. We have the name. Everything makes sense. Well, as we're putting this together, we had an idea to get a few more people from the Fantasy Football League and do a Dan Le Batard Show fantasy draft. Dan Le Batard Show's podcast. We set up a draft where we draft the people from the show to build our own show to do a week of shows because show. So yeah, instantly, episode 1, everything's off. The name makes no sense. The imaging, the fantasy part of the name made sense. The imaging's all wrong. The song in the beginning, I got a fucking bong rip. The whole thing is, I ripped off the TGIF theme from the early 90s. It's football time, and we scored a dime. Football's on, so let's smoke a bong. TGIF. Problem is, half the people on the pod don't smoke. So it's like, right there, we've gone from a stoner fantasy show to a non-stoner, not really fantasy. The whole thing was just, it made no sense. Didn't need to. It didn't, like I said, who cares? We got 12 fucking listeners. You can call it garbage time for all I care. It wouldn't have changed anything. But it was just kind of odd. The show that we developed never became a show. And then this other show basically took its name and time slot and became its own thing. Fast forward about 9 months. The main guy behind the original show, I think he's just over it. He's done, don't want to do it anymore. It's not what he intended when we set it all up. I get it. So now here we are. We're in this state of flux where we're basically going to take most of the same people. We're going to do a new show, which is basically the old show. So it's going to be new name, new imaging. same old grab ass. We're just gonna do random shit and have fun. But we're kicking around names. We're kicking everything around. We got enough. I've got 2 more episodes uploaded for December ready to go. And hopefully this Tuesday we can get enough footage to do the 2 shows in between. Fill up December. January, come back with a new show. Of course, if a tooth falls out and I'm in massive pain with an exposed nerve, I don't know how much I'm going to be wanting to podcast on Tuesdays. So yeah, in kind of a weird situation. I don't know. Got ghosts in my blood. Maybe I should do cocaine about it. See, this is a perfect example of the non sequitur references you're going to get on whatever the name of this new show is going to be. But like I said, I just finished editing and uploading 2 episodes last night. I've got a Dynasty road trip on the platter right now to be cut up. When I get that done, I've got an episode about Ricky Williams waiting to get cut up. And like I said, by Tuesday, I'll be recording more stuff that I get to cut up. So yeah, it's going to be a whirlwind of activity. Yeah, I'm excited. This is my excited face at 8 a.m. on a Sunday when I slept for like 12 hours again last night. I don't know, but I digress. I'm gonna get some of this fine coffee in me. If that don't do the job, maybe a little bit of cocaine, and then we'll do the editing. Shouldn't joke about the cocaine, but we got a guy, one of the guys on the pod is from out west, and he has a podcast. So I asked him a while ago, hey, you got any, segments or bits that you guys have produced that you wouldn't mind throwing my way that I can use to pad out these shows? So he sends me about 6 fake commercial ads. Every one of them's cocaine. So now I'm like, I can't stop saying it, which in a small town's probably not the way to go. I messaged him the other day and said, man, I gotta stop listening to these ads, because I went to the dollar store and I almost asked the chick behind the counter, which aisle do you keep the cocaine? And then I realized, no, you're in a small town. Don't do that. So I'm originally from a small town, but then I moved to a larger town, and when I came back here, there was a very large period of adjustment. You can't joke in a small town, man. You can't. The joke becomes a fact, becomes a story, becomes everywhere. And like, I guess I'm hooked on cocaine now because I made a joke to the dollar store clerk. I mean, I'd be the fattest cokehead this side of Sean Kemp, but let me digress for a third time. Let me give you a thing. See, I used to love messing with people. I probably still do. I've just talked myself out of it because I can't. But I used to be up in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I don't know, it's like 50,000 or something. It's like a giant small town. It's so if my kid graduates this year, if she wanted to go to La Crosse, I'd be like, it's a good town. I don't know so much about school. I never checked out colleges. Wasn't my thing. But yeah, you could mess with people. I mean, I had crazy ass hair, curly fucking, they say Sideshow Bob style hair, and so it was really easy. And I'm good with deadpan. Not quite Monty Python level of deadpan, but I'm right underneath. So you got this goofy looking guy with hair sticking everywhere, bloodshot red eyes, smelling like a half burnt doobie. When he tells you something in a deadpan manner, you're probably going to believe him because there's not much he could say that would be far-fetched to you. You'd be like, this fucking guy might go do that thing he said. So it was always an option. Fucking with people was always an option. And then I came home. We moved back here about, 17 years ago. And it took a long time. Because you can't, like I said, anything you say is going to get spread, and then it becomes fact, even though it was a dumb joke, because I deadpanned it well enough that they believed me. That's my fault, my problem. I'm too good at the deadpan that my jokes don't land as jokes, which, is funnier to an observer, but not so funny when people go spread shit around about you afterwards. But let me give you an example before I close it down. One of the first couple of years after we moved back, we had to go back up to La Crosse for a fantasy football thing. And me just being in a town Same thing when I was in high school, small town, everybody knows your business. All I wanted was to get the fuck out of here where I could just be a guy. A guy walking down the sidewalk. I could bloop, 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 bloop. You go to Madison, Wisconsin, you walk down State Street going blah, 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 blah. No one looks at you. I do that here. Not only is everyone looking at me, but they all know who I am, and they're going to say, hey, you see, Ron lost his fucking mind. He's up on the square going blah, 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 blah. So getting to a town where nobody gives a fuck was great. So then I came back here and I kind of got that whole feeling again. So when I got to La Crosse where I could fuck with people, oh man, it was a rush. Back on the horse. So we pull into La Crosse, you know, there's kind of a longer, the highway. La Crosse is on the river one side, Bluffs on the other. So if you do the math, long fucking roads pinned in on both sides. So you drive through La Crosse, you're driving fucking through La Crosse. It's a long drive. So you come into town, there's just set after set of stoplight on like a, 4-6 lane road coming in, whatever it is. So we're at the stoplights and I decide, I gotta start fucking with people. So it's August, it's a draft time, windows are down, we're sitting in the car and I'm like, hey, you should pull over and tell my wife this. I'm like, you should go over to the store over here. I need to pick up some lubrication. Yeah, I got my giant black dildo. I need lubrication for it because it's too big. I don't know what I'd do without the extra lubrication. To the cars in the other lanes. Yeah, they could hear me. So we're at the lights and the lady next to me, she's trying her damnedest to pull as far up as she can without hitting the next car. And it felt real good. So yeah, I guess that's the point of the story. Don't joke around in a small town because it becomes fact. However, do joke around in a larger city because even if that lady goes to tell somebody about my need for lubrication, nobody knows who I am, so it doesn't matter. So I guess I better get back to editing, finish this coffee, not disturb Mr. Pants snoring gently off screen. So for Drinks with Ron, I'm Ron, signing off. You ain't gonna stop, are you?